All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. This one is entitled There Will Be War. Apologize for not completing this last night. There are issues on YouTube and other things. We're going to be doing it here. Also, X has been having problems. So we're going to be doing this here right now. And we appreciate you being here. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. If you'd like a transcript of this broadcast, you can find it on Substack, PrepperNow.substack.com. There are other places where you can find the broadcasts and other things. And this one's kind of a bit of a one-off. So because of the circumstances, we're going to do it right now. We appreciate you. This one's going to be straightforward, no BS. And it is entitled There Will Be War for a Reason. Okay? All right, friends. God bless you all. Here we go. This is your crisis report for February 17th, 2026. Done on February 18th because, well, there's been some glitches and stuff on certain things where we broadcast. So share this out. We appreciate that. Former U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz says Mossad should be expelled from the Pentagon. President Trump is preparing to release evidence publicly showing which foreign powers interfered in the 2020 election. Multiple wildfires are rapidly spreading across the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. President Trump Chief of Staff Susie Wiles is holding a major meeting with several White House cabinet members to strategize on how Republicans can win the midterm elections. Argentines are maxing out credit cards to buy food because inflation is hitting 32.4%. Iran possessed 441 kilograms of enriched uranium before the 12-day war. No information since then, according to the UN. First report since 12-day war, the IAEA reports that Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium grew substantially in the last 2 weeks leading up to the 12-day war. Iran possessed approximately 409 kilograms of the 60% enriched uranium on May 31st, which increased to 441 by June 12th. This is a remarkable 7.8% increase in just 2 weeks. Since the beginning of the 12-day war on the 13th of June, IAEA has not been able to access Iran's uranium stockpile or nuclear sites and is therefore unable to verify whether its stockpile of highly enriched uranium has grown since then. Over 50 U.S. fighters, including F-35s, F-22s, and F-16s, have been sent to the Middle East because there will be war. John Kittikau, former CIA officer, says Iran could easily sink a U.S. aircraft carrier, which is the size of cities with 25,000 sailors. Quote, the Iranians have hypersonics, the Chinese have and the Russians gave them the technology and they developed it domestically. An aircraft carrier is the size of a city. It has 25,000 sailors on it. End quote. Israel's Channel 12 reports the White House told Israel that nuclear talks with Iran are at a dead end and Tehran won't meet Trump's demands. Mexico has now imported 75% of its natural gas from the U.S., about 6.4 BCFD, generating $9 billion per year in dollar demand. Now the twist, Mexico is building LNG export terminals using U.S. pipeline gas. One molecule, $2 transactions, U.S.-Mexico pipeline dollars, Mexico to Asia, to Europe, to LNG dollars. That is a structural dollar multiplier. U.S. energy infrastructure enforces dollar dominance, and just did a deep dive on all of that. This is from the Merchants News. We're promoting that one. It's a good one. They're pushing to get the dollar back and the oil, the petrodollar back up on top. California is now importing gasoline on a 4,000-mile detour through the Bahamas before it reaches L.A. because of Sacramento's self-inflicted refinery closures, refusal to expand in-state capacity, hostility to interstate pipelines, and rigid regulatory regime, fuel that could move efficiently within California is instead being routed to a foreign port, transported to a foreign flag vessel, and then shipped all the way around Mexico to California. More than 40% of the imported gasoline in November came via the Bahamas. This adding thousands of unnecessary shipping miles and emissions, layering transportation costs onto already record high pump prices, driving domestic refining capacity out of the state and weakening energy reliability in the world's fifth largest economy. Accurate but worth a mention is the refineries don't just produce gasoline, but also diesel and industrial transport kerosene like jet fuel, roads for asphalt, and other compounds, lighter, propane, and heavier, e.g., bunker fuel for ships. Losing local refineries means all these refined products have to be shipped into California, which will certainly not be done, but at higher prices. California is choosing to not just pay more for gasoline, but also losing the foundations of an industrial economy, which might be the goal. Entire defense apparatus is petroleum-based, and that's not changing anytime soon. In the case of a war in the Pacific, we will need much more fuel on the West Coast than we presently have the capacity for. We are effectively shooting ourselves in the foot. USNI Fleet and Marine Tracker for February 17th, 2026 says, contrary to some reports, the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier has not reached the Straits of Gibraltar. That's probably what they're waiting for. AI arms race is risking human extinction, warning a top computing expert. More reason for prepping. Mayor Zohran Mamdani plans to raise NYC property taxes to fill its budget gap. If you've not seen the latest short on PrepperNow, the streets are literally filled with poop. There's a video over there that'll make your stomach turn. J.D. Vance says, while in some ways the negotiations went well, it was very clear that there are some red lines the president has set that Iran is still not willing to acknowledge and work through. The president reserves the right for military action if diplomacy reaches a dead end. U.S. pledges about $395 million to the Philippines to commit to deploying more missile launchers and reaffirms that an armed attack on Philippine or U.S. forces in the South China Sea would trigger obligations under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. Iran completed 2 days of its smart control of the Strait of Hormuz drills with IRGC combat units and naval forces. Completes day 2, sorry. U.S. has conducted 3 lethal kinetic strikes on 3 vessels operated out by the designated terrorist organization that are engaged in narco-trafficking operations as part of Operation Southern Spear. 11 male narco-terrorists were killed, 4 on the first vessel, Eastern Pacific, 4 on the second vessel in the Eastern Pacific, and 3 on the third vessel in the Caribbean. No U.S. military forces were harmed. 2, United States Air Force E-3B-C Sentry Airborne Early Warning and Controller AWACS airplanes, which departed Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska yesterday under call sign Denali 01 and Denali 02, arrived today at Royal Air Force Mildenhall early Tuesday after crossing the Atlantic Bridge. They're expected to continue on in the coming days to the Middle East region. Palantir has announced on X that it's moving its headquarters from Denver to Miami. And here are the problems with an air campaign against Iran. 600 Tomahawk missiles sound like a lot, but we need some comparisons. 2025 alone, Russia launched 1,900 to 2,000. Given the patchy air defense of Ukraine, we should also count drones. Including strike drones, Russia launched around 34,000. Ukraine remains intact. Strikes have taken their toll, but the country is intact. 600 Tomahawks represent less than 2% of the strike capability. If the U.S. fired all 600, this would be 10 to 15% of their total inventory, not total inventory on their ships, the total inventory in existence. Could still add an aircraft capacity, but it's controversial, risking these aircraft against Iranian air defenses like their hypersonics. It does exist, but it's propaganda. Planes have maybe 600 to 1,000 bombs, so even an upper end estimate serve less than 5% of the Russian strikes on Ukraine. And the big problem is defense, not offense. All this between 1,300 and 1,500 air defense missiles. Iran has 80,000 Shahed drones ready to launch and can produce around 400 a day. Imagine if they put out 1,000 to 2,000 Shaheds in the first day. This would be attrition, the entire battery of the U.S. strike group's air defense. It would then be completely vulnerable. Iranians could then launch more advanced anti-shipping missiles. These are rare. They have a few thousand, but if they use the drones to attrition air defense, they wouldn't need many. They could also send the speedboats with short-range anti-ship missiles. The risks for the U.S. are unimaginably large, and hope people in charge understand this. The U.S. Navy failed to defeat the Houthis. Iran is a far larger proposition. Please keep that critical information in your mind, because people are not really understanding. This is not Venezuela. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio wishes all East Asians and Southeastern Asians a happy Tibetan New Year on the advent of the Year of the Flaming Horse, extending my warmest wishes to everyone around the world celebrating Losar, Tibetan New Year, on this first day of the Year of the Fire Horse. We celebrate the fortitude and resilience of the Tibetan community worldwide. Explosion reported at Abundant Life Fellowship Church, State Route 12, Boonville, New York. Incident followed reports of gas odor. Emergency responders dispatched. No indication of foul play. 5 people were injured, including a Boonville firefighter, critical condition. 2 victims are in critical condition as well, while 3 others have non-life-threatening injuries. Church sustained catastrophic damage. In other news, the very stable nation of Peru is removing its 8th president in 8 years. Hey, look at that. YouTube TV experiencing problems according to user reports on Down Detector. It went down. X was down the day before. Interesting. Gabon has ordered an immediate nationwide suspension of social media until further notice. Decision cites the spread of defamatory, hateful, and false content allegedly threatening national security and institutional stability. Measure was adopted during a February 17th plenary session chaired by Germain Ngoyo Musabo. Commercial vessel was reportedly approached and attacked by 3 small skiffs approximately 70 nautical miles southwest of Aden, Yemen. According to the UK Maritime Trade Operation, small arms fire was reported during the incident, with the situation under monitoring. Additional U.S. strategic airlift assets are en route to CENTCOM. Regional tensions are rising. 2 U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemaster III heavy transport aircraft, call sign RCH-853, RCH-831, were tracked over eastern North America on similar eastbound trajectories. Both aircraft are part of the U.S. aircraft's long-range strategic airlift fleet, typically used to transport troops, armored vehicles, air defense systems, and other heavy military equipment. The odds of the Republican Party winning the U.S. Senate and midterm elections fell to a new low of 60%. Democrats are now also expected to control the House of Representatives, 83% there. Iran's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Abbas Araghchi, commented on the U.S.-Iran talks. He said serious and constructive talks led to a general agreement on principles between the U.S. and Iran. That's completely out the window. Gold futures extended losses to drop back below $4,900. Volatility index is gaining of 8% on the day, showing that there are major problems going on. The market is telling you that a war is coming. NASDAQ was down 100 but reversed. S&P 500 erased all losses on the day and turned green. S&P 500 just added $600 billion in 30 minutes. See how the day goes today. U.S. college underemployment rate is crisis levels. Underemployment rate for recent college graduates is up to 42.5%, highest since the 2020 Ronademic. Means nearly half of all recent graduates are working jobs that do not require a college degree. Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, announced it sold 77% of its Amazon Q4 2025, worth $1.7 billion. He also sold $2.7 billion of Apple last quarter. I wonder what he knows. AI disruption fears are dominating the earnings season. Mentions of AI disruption during Q4 2025 earnings calls are up to around 126. This is nearly double the previous quarter and more than 3 times the level seen a year ago. Comes despite earnings results coming over. Good to see you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. We're doing a rare one. Tell me if you like this. I don't know. It's not bad doing it in the morning. Former FDA head David Kessler warns human biology was never intended to handle ultra-processed foods. Correct. Observers report that multiple additional United States KC-135 Stratotankers and United States Air Force KC-46 Pegasus are currently departing other bases across the United States heading northeast, many likely preparing to cross the Atlantic towards Europe and the Middle East. Poland has banned Chinese manufactured vehicles from entering military facilities, citing concerns that they are linked to espionage activities on behalf of Beijing. Following the Japanese elections, with 354 votes in the lower house, Sanae Takaichi has just been elected the 105th Prime Minister of the Japanese history. Now she controls a supermajority in Japanese parliament following the February 8th snap elections. They will amend the constitution and they will create a larger force of defense for the Japanese because war is coming. Trump administration is preparing for a war with Iran. Just last week's war may start soon. According to Israeli sources, the Israeli government is preparing for the possibility of war within days. American sources estimate that the decision may take weeks, but emphasize that patience in the White House is running out. Oh, look at that. Iran and Russia will hold joint naval exercises in the Gulf of Oman and northern Indian Ocean tomorrow. French hard-left party said they evacuated their Paris headquarters after a bomb threat. And the Vatican will not participate in Trump's so-called Board of Peace, top diplomat has said. President of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, is expected to resign before the end of her 8-year term. And once again, Trump is moving closer to a major war with Iran. It could be any time and begin very soon. It is coming. It is coming. So, that is your crisis report for February 17th, as done on February 18th in the morning. Brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. We appreciate you being here. Hit that like button. There's a full transcript on Substack. You can find us on Gab, Minds, Truth, Twitter, X, Subscribestar, and Locals. Those are two great places to support the cause. Subscribestar has a great community over there, and it's a couple bucks a month like Locals. Other than that, we are going to just keep getting it out, and I'm going to go have a day. I hope you have a great day. God bless you all, and we will see you on the next one.